You apologize for asking. You apologize for needing. You apologize for existing in a way that might inconvenience someone else. When someone helps you, you feel guilty. When someone listens to you, you feel like you're taking too much. When someone gives you their time, you wonder if you're wasting it. You say sorry more than you say thank you. And somewhere deep inside, there's a voice that whispers you're too much. You're not worth the trouble. You should need less, take less, be less. If this sounds familiar, stay with me. Because feeling like a burden isn't just low self-esteem, it's a wound, and it has roots deeper than you realize. Here's what most people don't understand. People who feel like a burden don't think they're worthless in every way. They might be confident at work. They might be the one everyone else relies on. They might seem completely fine on the outside. But the moment they need something from someone else, everything shifts. Suddenly they feel small. Suddenly they feel guilty. Suddenly they feel like they're asking for too much just by existing. This isn't about being needy, it's about believing, deep down, that your needs don't deserve to be met. Here's where this often begins. Many people who feel like a burden grew up in environments where their needs were treated as problems. Maybe your parents were overwhelmed, too stressed, too tired, too busy surviving to make space for your emotional needs. So you learned to shrink. You learned to not ask. You learned to handle things yourself. You learned that good children don't need much. Or maybe it was more direct. Maybe you were told you were too much. Maybe your feelings were called dramatic. Maybe asking for help was met with sighs, frustration, or guilt trips. So you learned something painful. Your needs are an inconvenience. Your existence requires justification. You have to earn the right to take up space. And that lesson followed you into adulthood. There's another layer here. Some people feel like a burden because they were parentified as children. Instead of being taken care of, they became the caretaker. They listened to their parents' problems. They managed their siblings' emotions. They became the responsible one, the strong one, the one who never needed anything. And somewhere along the way, they forgot they were allowed to have needs too. Now as adults, receiving feels foreign, uncomfortable, wrong. They know how to give endlessly. But receiving that feels like stealing something they don't deserve. Here's something that might sound familiar. When someone offers to help, your first instinct is to say no. Not because you don't need help, but because you don't want to bother them. You calculate how much you're allowed to ask for. You measure your words. You minimize your problems so they seem smaller than they are. It's not a big deal. I don't want to bother you. You probably have more important things to do. You'd rather struggle alone than risk being too much for someone. And when you do ask for something, you feel the need to pay it back immediately. To prove you're not taking advantage. To show you don't expect too much. Because deep down, you believe that love and support are conditional. And the condition is, don't need too much. Here's what happens inside when you feel like a burden. Someone does something kind for you. Instead of feeling grateful, you feel anxious. What if they didn't really want to help? What if they're secretly annoyed? What if they're only doing it out of obligation? You can't receive kindness without questioning it. And when someone says they care about you, a part of you doesn't believe it. Because how could they? You're just a burden, an inconvenience, a problem they have to deal with. So you push away the love you desperately need, not because you don't want it, but because you don't believe you deserve it. Here's the trap. Feeling like a burden makes you act in ways that create distance. You stop reaching out because you don't want to bother people. You stop sharing your struggles because you don't want to be too much. You stop asking for help because you don't want to be needy. And then you end up alone. Not because people don't care, but because you never let them show it. And in that loneliness, the belief gets stronger. See, no one's there for you. You really are alone. You really are a burden. But you're not alone because you're a burden. You're alone because you pushed everyone away to protect them from you. Here's what's really happening. The feeling of being a burden isn't about reality. It's about an old story you've been telling yourself for years. A story written by experiences that taught you your needs weren't welcome. But that story isn't true. It was just survival. You learned to feel like a burden because it was safer than expecting to be cared for and being disappointed. You learned to need less because needing more led to pain. You learned to apologize for existing because existing fully wasn't allowed. But those were lessons from a time when you had no power, no choice, no options. You have choices now. Here's what I want you to understand. You are not a burden. Your needs are not too much. Your feelings are not an inconvenience. Your existence does not require an apology. The people who love you don't help you because they have to. They help you because they want to. Because your presence in their life matters. Because you are worth the effort. Not when you're strong. Not when you're useful. Not when you need nothing. Always. Here's what helps. Start by noticing when you apologize for needing. Notice when you say sorry for asking a question. Notice when you minimize your problems before sharing them. Notice when you refuse help you actually need. Just notice, without judgment. Then, practice receiving. When someone offers help, say yes, even if it feels uncomfortable. When someone gives you a compliment, say thank you. Don't deflect it. When someone asks how you're doing, tell the truth, even a small truth. You don't have to change overnight. But every time you let someone care for you without apologizing for it, you rewrite the old story. Here's the truth about the people who love you. They don't see you as a burden. They see someone they care about, someone they want to support, someone whose presence makes their life better. The weight you think you're putting on them, they don't feel it the way you imagine, because when you love someone, helping them isn't heavy. It's just love. So here's what I want you to know. If you've spent your life feeling like a burden, it's not because you are one, it's because someone, somewhere, made you feel that way. And you believed them. But you don't have to believe them anymore. You are allowed to need. You are allowed to ask. You are allowed to take up space. Not because you've earned it, but because you're human. And humans need each other. That's not weakness. That's connection. You are not too much. You never were. Comment, I'm not a burden. Because saying it out loud is the first step to believing it. And you deserve to believe it.